Hi, I'm Tom Clark. Today, we're going to discuss a deadly substance that can be found in many workplaces. The substance is hydrogen sulfide. Understanding and controlling the hazards presented by hydrogen sulfide is literally a matter of life and death. If you're being asked to watch this program, then chances are your company has identified hydrogen sulfide as a potential hazard and has developed a plan to keep you safe. Hydrogen sulfide is a highly toxic, colorless gas that is heavier than air. Because it's heavier than air, it will settle into low-lying areas, creating a hazard if left undetected. Hydrogen sulfide is formed when two hydrogen atoms bond to an atom of sulfur. The chemical expression for this is H2S. H2S is another name for hydrogen sulfide. Besides H2S, hydrogen sulfide is also referred to as dihydrogen sulfide, hydrosulfuric acid, sulfurated hydrogen, as well as nicknames such as rotten egg gas, swamp gas, devil's breath, and stink damp, just to name a few. At low concentrations, hydrogen sulfide has an unpleasant odor similar to rotten eggs. As concentrations increase, its smell may turn very sweet, but you can never depend on detecting this odor for your safety. One reason hydrogen sulfide is so dangerous is that it can paralyze your sense of smell. This is called olfactory fatigue, and it can occur very rapidly, especially at higher concentrations.
Chipper, you smell something?
No, I don't smell anything.
Without proper air monitoring equipment, workers may be unaware they are being exposed to hydrogen sulfide. Concentrations of hydrogen sulfide are measured in parts per million. This is a measurement of how many molecules of hydrogen sulfide are present for every million molecules of air. The inhalation of hydrogen sulfide gas is the most common method of exposure. At concentration levels up to 10 parts per million, exposed workers may experience irritation of the eyes, nose, and throat. As hydrogen sulfide concentrations increase to between 10 and 50 parts per million, exposed workers may begin to experience headaches, dizziness, and coughing. Nausea and vomiting may also occur at these concentrations. Exposure at levels between 50 and 100 parts per million can result in the onset of conjunctivitis and respiratory tract irritation after a 1-hour exposure. Conjunctivitis is the irritation and swelling of the membrane of the eyelids, which results in intense tearing, blurring of vision, light sensitivity, and a gritty, scratchy feeling. 100 parts per million is also the IDLH level for hydrogen sulfide. This level, established by the National Institute of Occupational Safety and Health, NIOSH, is the level at which you may suffer immediate, serious, and irreversible damage to exposure. IDLH stands for immediate danger to life and health. Exposure at this level can lead to a loss of the sense of smell within 2 minutes, and altered respiration and drowsiness can occur after 15 minutes. These symptoms will worsen with the length of exposure. As concentration levels reach 500 to 700 parts per million, an exposed worker can lose consciousness and die in 30 to 60 minutes if not removed to fresh air and given proper medical treatment. When exposed to concentrations of hydrogen sulfide over 700 parts per million, unconsciousness can be very rapid and death will occur in a matter of minutes. Next, let's discuss the permissible exposure limit, or PEL, for hydrogen sulfide. The Federal Occupational Safety and Health Administration, OSHA, limits workplace exposure to hydrogen sulfide in its regulation 1910.1000 air contaminants. Table Z2 of this regulation lists the acceptable ceiling concentration for hydrogen sulfide as 20 parts per million. A ceiling concentration is not a time-weighted average exposure, but rather a maximum level at any time in an 8-hour work shift. Table Z2 also lists an acceptable maximum peak above the acceptable ceiling concentration of 50 parts per million for a duration of 10 minutes if no other measurable exposure has occurred. Once hydrogen sulfide concentrations reach the permissible exposure limit defined in your facility's contingency plan, actions must be taken to reduce employee exposure. When possible, implementing engineering controls is always the first choice to reduce employee exposure to hydrogen sulfide. If the company cannot reduce the concentration of hydrogen sulfide to less than the permissible exposure limit, exposed workers will be required to wear respiratory protection. For concentrations of hydrogen sulfide below the IDLH level of 100 parts per million, a full-face air purifying respirator with chemical cartridges rated for hydrogen sulfide may be used. For concentrations above 100 parts per million, or when entering an area of unknown concentration levels, an SCBA or SAR is required. SCBA stands for Self-Contained Breathing Apparatus and requires that the user carry a limited air supply on their back. SAR stands for Supplied Air Respirator. This type of respirator utilizes purified air supplied from a hose connected to a compressor. Some work areas always have the possibility of a release of hydrogen sulfide above the permissible exposure limit. All areas with the potential for hydrogen sulfide will also have various devices and monitoring systems to detect the presence of the gas. In some cases, fixed point monitors will be installed, while in other areas, portable or handheld monitors may be used. In either case, these monitors will be calibrated to sound a warning when hydrogen sulfide levels reach the predetermined action levels in your facility's hydrogen sulfide contingency plan. Many facilities utilize a two-level warning system. For example, one type of warning may be given to alert workers when hydrogen sulfide levels approach the permissible exposure limit or a limit specified by your organization. This type of warning may require non-essential workers to leave the area and essential workers to don appropriate respiratory protection. Should hydrogen sulfide levels go even higher, such as approaching the IDLH level or other levels specified by your organization, an evacuation warning may be given. Make sure you understand what visual and/or audible signals are used at your facility and their meaning. If an evacuation alarm sounds, you should move upwind swiftly and, if possible, uphill. Avoid low-lying areas, as hydrogen sulfide is heavier than air and will collect in these types of areas. Evacuating employees must report to a designated briefing area so each person can be accounted for. Briefing areas should also be set up at least 250 feet away and upwind from hydrogen sulfide prone areas. During a hydrogen sulfide incident, never attempt to assist a fallen worker unless you are wearing appropriate respiratory protection and are trained to assist. In this situation, being a good Samaritan can easily kill you. The same concentration of hydrogen sulfide that quickly overcame your coworker will just as quickly overcome you. Instead, head straight to the briefing area and report the location of your fallen worker. A properly outfitted and trained rescue team can then retrieve the fallen worker and quickly get into fresh air and medical attention. After a release of hydrogen sulfide, do not return to the area until it has been monitored and rendered safe to enter.
Hydrogen sulfide can be an invisible silent killer if safe work practices aren't followed. Don't be a statistic. Make sure you understand your organization's hydrogen sulfide contingency plan, know how and when to use respiratory protection, and know the meaning of your facility's hydrogen sulfide warning sounds and signals. By working safely, being prepared, and following your training, you and your coworkers can stay safe
while working near hydrogen sulfide.